Repairing a 5-inch gauge Modelworks Pannier tank, Part 9. After reassembling the mechanical lubricator and fitting it in place, it does not work very well. The lubricator is intermittent in operation. I make some modifications to the way it is driven and explain common problems with sprag clutches. It's time to lay the engine on its side so I can get at the parts underneath. And the part that I'm interested in is the drive from the eccentric on the rear axle to the drive lever on the lubricator. This is the rod that goes from the eccentric on the front axle, which actually drives the lever which rotates the sprag clutch. And not unsurprisingly, on this Modelworks engine there is a problem with it. Firstly, it doesn't line up in any way with the lever on the lubricator. This is a quick fix. I just tighten the bottom nut onto the top one as a lock nut. That will move the eccentric rod into a more sensible position. This is the real problem. The eccentric rod from the eccentric on the front axle fouls the frame stretcher, as you can see here. It collides with it. Luckily, there is a slot in the lever that operates the sprag clutch to allow this to happen. Personally, I dislike this type of engineering. Even the drive pin is just a bolt, and it's never a good idea to have threads against a brass lever, because threads on bolts do not make very good bearing surfaces. However, this is the way the engine was built and I'm not going to alter it. I need to make the system work though. This clip shows the drive mechanism from the eccentric to the lever with the eccentric rod removed. I'm going to modify this lever so it does not collide with the frame stretcher. In this clip I'm using a felt tip pen to mark the area that I need to remove. I'm not going to set it up in the milling machine, that takes too long. I'm just using the end of my 4-inch belt sander. The problem is this part gets very hot. And I never wear gloves in the workshop. I've mentioned many times why, I'll mention it again. I like to know where my fingers are at all times. A glove can easily get caught in machinery, but the chance of that happening with bare fingers is less so. But there is a disadvantage, particularly in this case. This part gets very hot very quickly. I've moved my water pot, which is usually by this machine anyway, much closer. That way I can drop the piece of metal into the water and that will cool it down very quickly. This is just a bit of freehand shaping. After a while, if you practice, you do get fairly good at this. I think my pain tolerance must be fairly good because the part was really hot that time. Although it's probably due to burning my fingers so many times over the years, I've got used to it. I'm letting this sequence run at normal speed, not just to be boring. It's just to show you how I approach the job. First of all, I shape the middle bit that are marked with a felt tip pen. Then I go a bit further at each end to make the transition a bit shallower. This is not going to be visible when it's fitted back to the engine, but that is no excuse for not doing the job properly. The job is nearly complete now. All I need to do is just deburr the edges. And to do that, I'm going to use my 1-inch belt sander, as it's more controllable for this part of the job. Here you see the job almost complete. I just need to tidy up the curvature slightly and clean off the rust at the eccentric end of the part. With a bit of luck now, this should clear the frame stretcher, and talking about frame stretchers, here it is. It's already been factory machined to make it smaller, but not enough with such a thick eccentric rod that really does not need to be this strong. Here I'm rebolting the eccentric rod to the eccentric, and I also put a lock nut on the top of it too. Because if this part was to drop off when the engine was running, I don't think the results would be very good. The other end of the eccentric rod is tightened onto this lever using a single bolt. That's how it was originally, and when I look at the job now, I think this explains where the oil pipe went. I get a very strong feeling that someone's been here before me. To get a bit more travel on the lever, I thought I would put a bolt in like this, but then I changed my mind. and I remove the bolt using my very useful, very long nose pliers. When I rebuilt the pump and moved the lever which operates the sprag clutch, it worked perfectly. But now the pump is in position and the eccentric rod is bolted firmly to the lever, I don't think it's going to work. Mechanically, this is entirely wrong. In the next episode, I will discuss mechanical lubricators, particularly the sprag clutch type. For now though, it's time to run the engine and see what happens. Not a lot really, the drive shaft revolves, but it only goes so far, then it stops and just does this. In this final clip of this episode, you will see that the locomotive on the rolling road is rocking from side to side. Why is this? I'm pretty sure it's because it needs some lubrication on the axle boxes and all of the moving parts of the motion. I know that there is plenty of oil in the cylinders because I repeatedly pumped some in through the spring-loaded check valve on the steam chest. This is what I use, a Rylang pressure oil can with steam oil in it. Time for me to go because I need to go and do some shopping. As usual, stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.